Welcome everybody. Welcome to White City Place Connect, where we're offering occupiers of White City Place a live platform from which to learn and engage from the comfort and safety of your own homes. My name's Dora. For those of you who haven't practiced with me before, you're all very, very welcome. I thought today we'd have a little exploration into the psoas muscle, and I'll just reveal little bits of information as we go along. I want it to be experiential rather than too much of an anatomy session, but there will be a little bit of biomechanics and anatomy involved in this. So if you have them, please don't worry if you don't. Grab a hold of 2 blocks. This could be 2 books and a blanket and maybe a belt, a yoga tie. And this could also be just the belt of a dressing gown if you have one of those. So if you are lucky enough to have one of these belts at home, these yoga ties, and you're not quite sure how to create a loop, I'm going to show you briefly. Give you a couple of minutes to grab your stuff. And please don't worry if you don't have any of these. I'll show you an alternative, which will be just as good. So with your yoga tie, you would feed the long end of the belt through both buckles. It may be different on the one that you have, but you should have 2 parts of the buckle there, and then feed it back through the last bit. So what you're going to end up with is a loop that holds itself. Yeah, so it's not going to slip away, but also you can adjust it with the long end. You can pull it, make it smaller or make it larger. And we're going to make our loop. You might have to adjust it when we get there, but maybe just a little bit wider than your shoulders. And we can put that to the side when we come down. So let's come and lie down on our backs. We're going to start with a little bit of settling, so belt can come down. 2 blocks, just take one of your blocks if you have them, or one of your books, or a blanket perhaps, or you could just lie down flat on the floor. You could slide one of your blocks underneath the pelvis, so this just gives you a little bit of lift here, helps to open up the front body and releases the diaphragm. So the diaphragm is a little bit freer to breathe. Bring your arms down by your sides and lift the chest and slide the shoulder blades down the back, turning the palms towards the ceiling. Feel into your feet and how they're connecting to the earth. So you might want to wiggle them around a little bit, bring them a little bit closer to the sit bones or a little bit further away, just until you feel that sweet spot where your legs feel supported here without having to grip the muscles too tight to hold you here. If it's comfortable for you, lightly close your eyes. And release the weight of your pelvis either down into the earth or onto your block. And begin just to feel into the movement of your diaphragm here. The diaphragm is this big domed muscle that lies underneath the rib cage. It separates the lower part of your torso and the upper part. It connects to the sternum at the front, to the spine at the back, and to the ribs at the side. And as you inhale, the diaphragm tightens a little. It starts to descend. Belly inflates because the organs are displaced. Breath is drawn in, and as you exhale, the belly descends. The diaphragm relaxes upwards towards the heart. If you have your hips up on a block here, you may notice that the diaphragm is working slightly against gravity. So it's a nice way to really exercise and free up this muscle. Of course, the diaphragm is making this movement unconsciously throughout your day. But when we bring our mind to this, it may slightly increase the movement and the tonality of this muscle. When we're breathing diaphragmatically, we're massaging the organs below the diaphragm, the digestive organs, liver, spleen, kidneys, intestines, colon, and above the diaphragm as it attaches through a central tendon towards the pericardium of the heart, we're also massaging the heart. And as you lie here and just allow your mind to rest gently on the movement, we're not forcing this action of the diaphragm, increasing diaphragmatic breathing, but also stimulating the parasympathetic activity of the nervous system that restores, recalibrates, replenishes. Can you relax the shoulders, the muscles of the face, the jaw, the mouth, even the tongue? Just allow your mind to stay gathered around this movement of the diaphragm. If you have another foam block, you may at this point want to place this also underneath the pelvis. As you press into the feet, lift the hips, slide the second block underneath. So it wants to be on the flat bones of your pelvis rather than your lower back. And if you don't have any props, you can do this sequence just lying on the floor. Take a hold of your belt, draw your right knee towards you, and take the loop of your belt over the ball of your right foot. So the buckle is close to you. Now if you have a dressing gown cord, you could just hold each end of the belt there. Make sure the belt is around the ball of the foot, closer to the roots of the toes, rather than the arch of the foot. And the usefulness of this loop is so that you can hook your fingers into the belt and plug your shoulder blades down, rather than gripping the ends of the belt, which causes some tension in the shoulders. You might need to make the loop longer or shorter. Relaxing the back of the neck. Keeping the left foot grounded. So to draw the knee towards the chest and take the leg up, you may have curl the tailbone up a little bit. So can you release the tailbone down a little bit here? So it feels almost as if the lower part of your belly is flat. Come back to your breath. And although the ball of your right foot is pressing up into the belt, the right thigh bone is relaxing down, back to its root. Go ahead and see what it feels like to stretch your left leg along the earth, bringing the heel to the floor. And if this is uncomfortable in your lower back in any way, you can place the foot back to the earth, or even take the blocks out from underneath you if you want to try and straighten the leg. So here you might feel this beautiful opening through the front of your left thigh, where the psoas muscle turns into the iliopsoas muscle. Keeping both feet flexed, relaxing in the upper body as much as you can. Keep coming back to the breath. Feeling that lengthening through the front of the left thigh, you may also feel it lengthening through the colon into the digestive system here. Let's slide the left foot back to the floor. Bend the right knee. Just slip the belt off the ball of the foot. Take the right foot to the floor. Come to settle in symmetry for a few breaths, palms facing upwards. And just have a sense of any residue from what you've just done. You may feel the blood flowing back into the right shin and foot. You may feel a difference between the right and left sides of the body. weight down into one side of the pelvis more than the other, or any other sensory feedback from your body that it's just information. Let's go ahead and draw the left knee towards the chest. Slip the loop of the belt over the ball of the foot. Stretching the leg up, the knee might be bent, and tucking the fingers into the loop so that you can let your arms hang, plugging the shoulder blades down. Imagine you were to lift the heel higher than the ball of the foot. Relaxing the face, the jaw, even the root of the tongue, to return to your breath. So this left leg is quite active, pressing up towards the ceiling, but also relaxing downwards towards the root of that thigh bone. And go ahead, stretch your right leg forward, just keeping the heel on the earth. Lengthening through the front of your right thigh, where the psoas muscle attaches to the iliacus and becomes the iliopsoas muscle. And I'll just show you the positioning of this big psoas muscle when we come to standing. The psoas muscle attaches to the diaphragm through the myofascia. So if the psoas muscle is tight, it will affect our breathing. And if the movement of the diaphragm is restricted, it creates a stress response in the body. So the psoas muscle may be tight from chronic stress. In the same way, if the psoas muscle is tight, it will provoke a stress response in the body. So it's on a loop there with our nervous system. Let's slide the right foot back to the floor. Draw the left knee towards you. Lose the belt if you have one. Whether you're on the floor or on your blocks, you may want to try and stretch both legs forward. If this is at all uncomfortable for your back, bend the knees, place them back to the floor and move the blocks out from underneath you. This may just feel really lovely to stretch out the diaphragm through the hip flexors, fronts of the thighs. A couple of breaths here. And as you slide the feet back to the floor, press into the feet, lift the hips, slide any props that you may have out from underneath you. Just take a moment to release down onto the earth and check in, tune in. Take a little rock with your knees from side to side. Rolling to the inner and outer edge of each foot. And then hugging your knees towards your chest. Keep the knees hip distance apart, chin to chest. Hand over each knee and take a little rock here, maybe turning the head to the opposite side of the knees. Take the hands behind the backs of the knees. Rock yourself up to seated here. And we'll just curl the shins around and come onto the hands and the knees. Place your hands underneath your shoulders. Tuck your toes behind your knees. Come and sit down onto the heels. Stretch the arms forward, keeping the elbows off the floor. And the head may be just floating off the floor here. So the crown of the head becomes the top of the spine. Gently lifting the pelvic floor and drawing the arm bones back into the sockets. As you inhale, come up onto your hands and your knees, keeping the hands where they are. Floating the knees just slightly off the floor, or the shoulder blades down the back. Lengthen out through the spine. Floating your sit bones towards your heels and leading with the tailbone as you unfold into your first downward facing dog. And we might bend one knee and then the other here, just easing into the backs of the knee joints. Let the breath be smooth and rhythmic. And raising both heels as you inhale. Sinking both heels as you exhale. Sliding your right shin forwards as it comes to the floor. Top of the foot is on the earth here. Keep the back knee lifted. Slide the ball of the foot away. So maybe right sit bone is onto the heel here. If you're feeling any compression in the lower back, you could walk your hands forward a little bit and lift the lower belly, just to create some space and length there. Keep the back legs super active. So again, you're getting that lengthening through that front of the hip. Couple of breaths, just balancing yourself, stabilizing yourself with your hands. If you walk your hands forward, slide them back a little bit so you can press down and slide the right toes back into a high plank this time, lifting the base of the skull. Press down into the earth to receive that uplift to the front of your body, your chest and your belly. And then lower knees, chest and chin as you exhale. Inhale, slide through, lengthen the toes. Exhale, lift your navel, tuck your toes, and float yourself up and back into your downward facing dog. Couple of breaths here. Sliding your left shin forward. Maybe sitting towards the heel with the left sit bone. Slide the ball of your right foot back so you get that super lengthening through the front of your thigh into the hip flexor there. If there's a compression or pinching in the lower back, just angle your body forward a little bit and lift the lower part of your belly. Just taking a few breaths here, super strong in that back leg, super engaged. And just balancing yourself here, stabilizing yourself with your hands. If you walk the hands forward, slide them back a little bit. Push down, slide the ball of your left foot away into a high plank. Lower your knees, chest and chin as you exhale. Inhale, lengthen through, baby cobra. Exhale, lift your navel, tuck your toes. Downward facing dog. Couple of breaths. Soften your elbows. Scoop your tricep muscles forward towards one another. Inwards towards one another. Broaden across the metatarsals as if the bones had space between them. And then soften your knees as you walk your hands back towards your feet. Letting yourself hang over your legs. Letting the head go. Maybe taking a hold of your elbow points to add a little bit of weight down through the spine, a little bit of traction here. Release the fingertips to the floor. Lengthen your heart forward, turn the palms out and up and come all the way up to standing here. Drawing the thumbs down your midline towards your heart. So just so that we can sense into this big muscle, which can be quite a difficult muscle to access because it lies quite deeply in the body, just going to trace it with our hands, and you may want to do the same. So the psoas muscle attaches to T12, thoracic 12, And it wraps itself like a band. It attaches all the way down to the lumbar four. It's quite a big band of muscle that runs from the spine. It then runs over the rim of the pelvis inside of the body, underneath the digestive organs here. So it creates a little hammock for the organs. And then it attaches through the iliopsoas muscle into the top of the femur head, the inside of the top of the femur head. So it has this wrapping action, if you want to try and do that. Wrapping down inside of the body, over the rim of the pelvis, underneath the digestive system. So if it's tight, it may affect your digestion, and into the tops of the femur heads in this way. So the way that we access the psoas muscle is through a lateral bend and a little spiral, and through the exercise we just did before when we moved through the front, the iliopsoas muscle. So just so that you can have a little sense of that. So come and stand with your feet hip distance apart. And we'll take the left toes behind us. Left arm comes up by the ear. You take a little curtsy here. And feel that the right fingertips are heavy, as if you had little leg weights in those fingertips. Keep the front heel down, you're on the ball of your back foot. And then start to reach across here. You might start to feel the muscle, quadratus lumboris, and also the psoas muscle stretching there. Come around to the front. And then the right arm is going to lift you all the way up. And you can step the left foot out to the side. Take the right foot behind you, ball of the foot, right arm rises. Take a curtsy here. Dropping down, front heel stays down. This left arm is hanging heavily. And then turning the navel, reaching outwards. Coming forward. Navel lifts towards the spine to help you up as the left arm brings you all the way up, and stepping the foot out here. Hands to the heart in prayer, and just turn yourself towards the short edge of your mat. Feet hip distance apart. Release the arms down. Take a big inhale as you reach up. And as you exhale, fly forward and touch the earth. Soften the knees. Step back with your left toes into your lunge. And take the right hand to the inside of the foot. So you turn your toes parallel. You're going to be facing the long edge of your mat once again. Soften your knees. Walk your fingertips forward underneath the shoulders. And with a straight back, just look through your arms so you can see the tops of your thighs. And you're swinging your sit bones from side to side, and there's a little internal rotation in the tops of each thigh, one at a time, rolling the groin towards your midline. It might be a really small movement. Again, we're just opening up all the muscles in around the tops of your thighs. It get tight from lots of sitting, lots of walking, maybe. And then spinning the heels in a little bit so the toes are turning out. Bend the knees, shift the weight back to the feet, hook your thumbs, spread your fingers, and coming up here into a wide-legged squat. Imagine you were trying to pull your thumbs apart so the elbows are softening, and there's a circuit from your shoulder blades that runs up each arm and connects in the thumb. Go a little deeper if you can. Keep breathing. And then rising up and making sure your toes aren't turned out too much, so about 10 degrees here. You're going to swing over towards the left leg as you exhale and do one full circle. Inhale. Bend the knees if you need to as you move through. Exhale. Inhale. Really reaching out to the full circumference. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale, come to pause at the bottom. Turn your right toes out a little bit more. Bend the right knee and sweep the belly inside the thigh, maybe lifting the upper arms. Press the palms towards the sky as you breathe. And then release the fingertips either side of the front foot. Lower your back knee down onto the earth. Wonderful. Push into the front foot, lift the chest, and just let your arms drape down here from the shoulders. Take your right hand onto your hip bone. Your left arm comes up by your ear. Come forward a little bit with the hips here. Come back a little bit with the hips. Swing them slightly out towards the right and then come forward again. You'll feel that the left fingertips start to reach out towards the corner of the room. Take the hips back a little bit more. This is a small movement. Swing them towards the right. Come forward again and reach out. So you're getting that opening, that lengthening through the back muscle there. Keep breathing. And then take the hands to the floor. Lift your back knee. Drop the right knee behind the right arm so you can slide the ball of the foot back without having to lift the hips and lower them. Down again, high plank. Lower knees, chest and chin as you exhale. Inhale, glide through, lengthen your toes. Exhale, lift your navel. Tuck toes, down facing dog. Couple of breaths here. As you sink your left heel, float your right leg up behind you. Lengthen the thigh bone out of the socket as if it's floating out of that socket joint, creating some space there. Look forward in between the hands, bend the knee through, step the foot in between the hands, come onto the tips of your fingers, and glide your back foot forward to fold, feet are hip distance apart. Take an inhale and come all the way up to standing. Draw your thumbs down your midline towards your heart. Take another big inhale as you reach up. Exhale, fly forward and touch the earth. Soften the knees. Step back with your right toes into your lunge. Take the left hand to the inside of the foot. Walk yourself around again so the toes are pointing forward. Walk the fingertips forward underneath the shoulders with the spine extended. And we're going to this time bend both knees and both elbows. Yield as you exhale. Have a sense that the tailbone stays lifted. And as you inhale, push the earth away. Take the weight into the outer edges of your feet. 2 more times. Exhaling, bending knees and elbows. Lift the sit bones. And then root down as you lift. 1 more time. Exhaling. Inhaling. Spin the heels in a little bit, bend the knees, shift the weight back into the feet, hook your thumbs, spread the fingers, coming up into this wide-legged squat, as if you're trying to pull the thumbs apart, opening up the elbows, drop a little deeper. As you drop down, lift the pelvic floor. Rising up, the toes may need to turn in a little bit. So you don't want to overturn the feet. They want to be reflecting the openness of your hips. And we're going to swing over towards the right as you exhale. Inhaling, coming up. Bend the knees if you need to. Exhale. Inhale. Just reaching out to the full circumference of the space that you inhabit. Exhale, pausing at the bottom. Turn your left toes out a little bit more. Bend the knees so you can sweep the belly and the ribcage inside of the thigh. Lift the backs of the hands here. Back heel wants to stay down. Keep breathing. Upper arms are framing the face. And then release the bind. Fingertips come either side of the left foot. Swivel up the back knee or back heel. Lower the knee to the floor. And as you push into the front foot, just come upright. Arms are draping. Take the left hand onto the hip, the right arm comes up by your ear. Come forward a little bit, not to your maximum, just about a third of the way. Come back a little bit, swing the hips out to the left and then come forward again. Reaching out with your right fingertips. Come back a little bit, swing the hips to the left, come forward and reach out with the fingertips. And then release the hands to the floor. Lift your back knee. Let your left knee drop behind. Slide the ball of the foot back into a high plank. Lower knees, chest and chin as you exhale. Inhale, glide through. Exhale, tuck toes. Downward facing dog. Couple of breaths here. Sweep the left leg up behind you. Lengthen the thigh bone out of the socket. Bend the knee through, step the foot in between the hands. Glide your back foot forward to fold. And come all the way up to standing as you inhale, leading with your heart. As you exhale, draw your thumbs down towards your midline. Just take a moment of pause to arrive, to be here right now. Inhale. Exhale, release the arms down. Take a big wide breath as you reach up. Exhale, fly forward and touch the earth. Inhale, step back with your left toes. And place the back heel to the floor, in and down. Right forearm comes onto your thigh, and your left hand comes onto the center of the chest. You're going to open up the chest a little bit, but not all the way, so it's slightly angling downwards. And then reach your sit bones back, so sticking your bottom out behind you. And feel the sense of openness and breath that might be happening here in the lower back and the sacrum. We're trying to keep that sense of breath and openness. Curl the right sit bone underneath you, so it comes more or less in line with the heel. Lengthen your tailbone towards your back heel, and then you can start to open up the chest. You could slide this left arm over the face as you inhale. Exhale. Shave the air with your arm onto the top edge of your body. Look down towards your right toes. Inhale. Slice the air and look up. Exhale. Nice and easy. Swinging from the shoulder. Exhale. Look down. Inhale. Looking up. Exhale. Inhaling. Pushing into your right foot as you rise up here. Use the strength of the right leg. Right arm comes up by the ear. Left hand rests on the back thigh. Maybe look towards that back heel. Go a little bit deeper into your right knee. And as you straighten up here, turn the toes in. If you feel a bit too wide, wiggle the feet in. Slide the left hand down the side of the body, so a lateral stretch for the spine. So you come upright, swivel yourself around towards your left foot. Back heel rises, right arm stays reaching up. Float the right fingertips to the floor or palm of the hand. Left arm reaches back, it comes up vertically, or maybe even rotate the shoulder, bring the upper arm by the cheek, and pull your left hip back against those left fingertips. As you take the hand to the floor, step back into a high plank. Vinyasa could be chaturanga up dog, or you can stay with knees, chest and chin, cobra, and back into your downward facing dog. And floating the left leg up behind you. Lengthen the thigh bone away from the socket. Slight internal rotation that helps to keep the hips square. Bend the knee through, step the foot in between the hands. Take the left hand to the inside and walk yourself around into a wide-legged fold. Walking the fingertips back this time, keep the navel lifted. Crown of the head paws towards the earth. Your head is on the ground and you want to give your spine a little traction and have somewhere to fold towards. Wiggle your feet a little bit closer and think of angling the sit bones down towards the heels. If your head is very far off the floor, you can wiggle your legs wider and think of lengthening the thighs up and lifting the sit bones towards the sky. Come up onto the tips of the fingers. Turning your right toes out a little bit more. Start to walk yourself over towards the right foot in a side lunge. You might keep the heels down, or you might come to sit on the heel. Maybe the heel pops up here. Some of you might be able to keep the heel down. And take the fingertips just onto the floor here in line with your hips. Your left inner thigh rotates up towards the sky. Lift the pelvic floor, and if you wanted to have a little go of balancing, hands come to the prayer. You might have to take the fingertips down and up a few times. Try to relax the face, the jaw. And then taking the fingertips to the earth. Lift yourself up, pivot yourself around towards the right foot and lower your back knee down onto the floor, lengthen your toes. Taking the hips forward here. Maybe even pressing onto the top of the foot and lifting the back knee. You want to make sure your knee and your ankle is okay in this pose. You could even do a little test to see if you could take the fingertips off the floor so your legs are holding you, and then release the knee to the floor. Walking your hands back. Take an Ardha Hanumanasana as you lift the front heel. Coming forward over the thigh and shin, or being a little bit more upright if you feel that's what you need. Couple of breaths here. Walking yourself forward back onto this right foot. Lift the back knee. Step back into a high plank. Your choice of vinyasa or no vinyasa. Breathe through this little sequence. And back into your downward facing dog. And walking your feet forward towards the backs of the wrists. Lead with the heart as you come all the way up to standing. Big breath. And as you exhale, thumbs draw down towards your inline. Take an inhale here. Exhale, release the arms down. Reaching up. Exhale, fly forward and touch the earth. Inhale, step back with your right toes. And as you place the heel down, take the left forearm onto the thigh, right hand onto the center of the chest. So you're angling the chest forward, but opening it just a little bit, not all the way. Stick your sit bones out behind you. So there's a spaciousness and a breadth across the sacrum. And keeping that spaciousness and sense of freedom in the lower back. Curl the left sit bone in line with your heel. Lean the shoulder blades back a little bit. Open up the chest and sweep the arm over by the cheek. Exhale, sweep the arm onto the side of the body and look down. Inhale, slice the air, look up. Exhaling. Inhaling, so just the arm and the head moving here. One more time, exhale. Inhaling. Push into the left foot to lift you up through a warrior two. Left arm drifts up. Right arm slides down the back leg. Keep lifting up out of the way so we're not collapsing or dumping into the lower back here. And maybe look towards your right heel. As you straighten up, turn the toes forward. Slide the hand down the thigh, lateral stretch. Think of reaching up and over to where the wall meets the ceiling. As you come back, swivel yourself around towards the right. Left arm stays lifted. Drop down into a high lunge. Left fingertips to the floor. Right arm reaches back. Maybe comes all the way over by the cheek. You're pulling the top, the crease of the top of the thigh back against your right fingertips there. Take the hand to the floor, step back into a high plank. Lower knees, chest and chin as you exhale. Inhale, glide through. Exhale, tuck your toes, downward facing dog. Float your right leg up behind you. Lengthen the thigh bone out of the socket. Step the foot in between the hands. Right hand comes to the inside as you walk your toes forward to face the long edge of your mat. Let your spine release down, navel stays lifted. Start to walk the hands back towards the heels and maybe even plant the palms. So there's a feeling that you're pushing the earth forward, drawing your belly through and maybe looking up through your legs towards the tailbone. And as you release this, walk the hands forward a little bit. Turn your left toes out about 10 degrees. Walking yourself across into a side lunge, you might be here. Or you could let that left heel pop up. Pivot on the right heel so the toes point up towards the sky. Come onto the fingertips, lifting the pelvic floor and seeing if you could take a little balance for a moment. Little millisecond of hands together. Place them down again if you need to. Keep your gaze slightly downwards. And fingertips to the floor. Lift and curl yourself over towards the left foot. Roll yourself over. Lowering the back knee down, lengthening the back toes. Pressing onto the top of the foot, maybe the knee lifts. Maybe you can push into the front foot, get enough lift to the core of your body so just to take the fingertips off the floor for a moment. Be careful not to sickle that back foot. Lowering down, walking your hands back into an Ardha Hanumanasana. The arms can stretch forward, forehead to shin. Or you can stay more upright. Couple of breaths here. Lifting yourself back onto your left foot. Tuck the back toes, stretch back into a high plank. Vinyasa or no vinyasa, this will be our last vinyasa through Cobra Up Dog. Lift the navel, tuck the toes, downward facing dog. Couple of breaths here. Let's walk the feet forward towards the front of the mat. Soften the knees, come all the way up to standing as you inhale. And as you exhale, thumbs draw down your midline to your heart. So taking a hold of your two blocks or your books or any props if you have them. And we're going to step up onto the block with your right foot, the blocks. Could be a brick as well if you had one. The left leg is hanging here and you're going to flex the foot. It's as if it's standing on a block that's next to it, but it's just kind of free floating there. And the left arm comes up by the ear. As you exhale, you're going to press the heel down, stretch over into a lateral stretch. And then as you inhale, suck back up, so shorten the space in the waist. 2 more times. Press the foot down, lift up and over as you exhale. Inhale, suck up the leg, come back through to the center. Really good. 1 more time. Exhaling. So this whole psoas muscle here, if you can just visualize it within the body, lengthening and then contracting. Take the hands onto the hips and just let this leg swing here. So it's swinging from the joint rather than the knee, from the hip joint. And there's a sense of that thigh bone really falling out of the socket. So all these hip flexors, not just the psoas muscle, all releasing. Thigh bone is heavy. And then come and stand off your blocks. Just take a moment here. Release the arms down and notice if one side of your body feels different to the other. Maybe one side feels longer or more rooted. Just listen to any sensory feedback, any information from your body. You're going to go to the other side. So you're going to step up onto your blocks with your left foot. Flex the right foot. Right arm comes up by the ear. And as you exhale, you think of that thigh bone dropping down. Press the foot down, reach over. As you inhale, suck that back up. Suck the thigh bone back up. Shorten the space in the waist. Exhaling, pressing the heel down. Reach up and over. Inhale, sucking back up. Maybe one more time. Exhale. And there's a lot of balancing going on here. Inhaling. So just visualizing that muscle once again. Arms float down, arm floats down. Hands onto the hips. And let this leg swing. Letting it swing from the root of the thigh, not just from the knee. Letting it hang out of the socket. Standing off your blocks. Just come to stand, both feet on the earth. Release the arms down. Feel into your body. Great. We will move the blocks out of the way. You might want to keep one actually. And we'll just come all the way down to seated. Let's come down. If you'd like to sit on a block for a cross-legged position, we haven't done a huge amount of hip openers, so that might be quite useful. And take your right shin in front of your left, wiggling the ankles underneath the knees, and just rock yourself from sit bone to sit bone, coming forward slightly towards the fronts of the sit bones, so that you can maintain a little arch in the lower back. Fingertips come to the floor. Yeah, I'm going to not mirror. So right shin in front. Left arm rises up. Lateral stretch, pouring the weight into that right palm. Keep the left sit bone rooted down. So you've got an anchor point from which to stretch away from. And all this space between point A and point B. And a little bit like the curtsy we did earlier, you turn the navel and the heart. Reach those left fingertips forward. Just land them gently on the floor. And then inhale, open up again. Exhaling, spiral the navel towards the spine, reach out, lightly land the fingertips on the floor. Inhale, open up again. Exhaling. Inhaling. And come all the way back up. So again, we're targeting this muscle as it wraps around and then goes inside the body, over the rim of the pelvis and into the iliopsoas muscle, which attaches to the top of the thigh. So you can visualize this as we do this. Changing the cross of your shins, fingertips to the floor. Raise your right arm up by your ear. Exhale, come into a side bend, pouring the weight into your left palm. And then bring the weight down heavily through that right sit bone. So that's your anchor point from which to stretch away from. Reach out as you inhale, as you exhale, turn the navel and the heart. Reach way beyond that left knee, land the fingertips. And then inhale, open up the chest. Exhale, turn the navel, reaching out, land the fingertips. Inhale, Opening up the chest. Exhaling. Visualize that muscle that moves deep inside the body. Opening up. Coming all the way back. And just take a moment here to rest the hands on the thighs. Close your eyes. Just drop into this sense of calm. And when you're ready, make your way down onto your back. So you can use the prop. Let's keep the knees bent for a moment. The arms down by your sides. Breathing deeply, fully, rhythmically. Once again, just going inside and visualizing the movement of the diaphragm, sensing the movement of the diaphragm, which attaches to the myofascia, to the big psoas muscle that we've been investigating. Perhaps having a sense of how these muscles interact with one another, how they're affecting your breathing, how this massaging of the internal organs aids our digestion. And then drawing your knees towards your chest without the arms. Just float the legs up towards the sky. Soften the knees and ankles. And see if you can find a sweet spot where there's not so much muscular effort needed to hold your legs here. You don't want your abdominal muscles to be overworking here. So if that's the case, just bring your thighs a little bit closer towards your torso. It's a beautiful way to refresh the legs, stimulating the circulation and the blood flow back to the heart. Try to relax the face, the skull, the back of the neck, shoulders, arms. If you need to bring the feet down before I've suggested, then please go ahead. And slowly just lower the heels towards the sit bones. Keep the feet off the floor and just be present to any tingling, any sensations you feel as the blood starts to flow back into the shins and calves, ankles and feet. And we're just going to do a little bounce here with the heels towards the sit bones. They might not make contact. Let the feet be floppy, so there's quite an opening into the ankle joints here as you do this. It just feel quite lovely. If it doesn't, you can release the feet to the floor. And release releasing the feet down one at a time. Just feel into any tingling, any aliveness that you might feel through the whole of the pelvis into the legs and the feet. Just predominantly the area we've been working on today. And if you like, you can stay here for Shavasana with the knees bent, or you might feel comfortable to stretch the legs forward. Snuggle yourself down, lengthen your limbs away from the sockets. Make sure you're warm and comfortable so you can settle for the last few minutes here in Shavasana. You are just beginning to settle and you would like to stay here. Settle somewhere. If you know you need to finish on time and you would like to conclude your practice with me, then just begin a gentle return to your body. Come back to the weight and contact of your body on the earth. And back to the body, gently breathing, however small is the breath. Just sense that movement within your tissues, within the fluids of your body. Make some small movements, wiggling fingers and toes, or if you need a bigger awakening, you can reach your arms up and overhead, do a stretch as you would do in the morning. And either just quietly curling your way over to the right side or hugging the knees towards the chest. Still with your eyes closed and in no hurry. Make your way over to the right side and pause here. You can make a little pillow for your head with your upper arm and have the left hand onto the floor by your face. Using that left hand, spiral your way back to any comfortable seat. Bring your hands into prayer And place your forehead onto the flats of your thumbs for clarity of thought. Place your thumbs to your heart space for love in action. And when you're ready, with an open heart and a quiet mind, gently open your eyes. Namaste. Thank you very much, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day. Hope to see you all soon.